It's the top 15 Greek songs of the week. Every Wednesday at 11 a.m.
WNTN 1550 AM and WNTN.com presents the top 15 Greek songs of the week. It's time for our second most popular.
For questions, I mean, I really have just a lot of background questions for both of you to kind of answer and then kind of get into music in general. But that's really it. I figured since there's two people, it's a lot easier to fill an hour than one. So I didn't have a whole lot of questions to get through.
The Market Trumbull fan. Both restaurants open 7 days a week. Both restaurants open year-round. And both restaurants open for lunch and dinner. There's steep, modern Greek cuisine on the Cape.
On the Cape? I was on the Cape. Greek.
Every Wednesday,
Here's my jingle. Alec Sullivan was one of the guests, and he wrote this for me.
That's awesome.
Somebody I climb with too.
Good, you have your own jingle.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome.
Oh, and the time that we'll go by is the digital clock.
Is what time?
The digital clock.
The digital clock.
So there is a station identification at the top of every hour, and it's pretty close to right at like even, maybe a few seconds off, and I can't stop it. So I try to time everything around that. So I'm going to try to get to a stopping point in our interview before we go into 7. If we haven't talked about the drinking songs yet, and it's 7 o'clock, then I'll wait to talk about those until 7 o'clock, until after 7 o'clock. And then if we bleed into the music I'm going to play, it's fine.
So is 6 to 7 kind of like the interview time, and then 7 to 8 is just like music?
Right, yeah. But we can just keep chatting and everything like that. And if you want to send that YouTube link to anybody right now, you totally can. Send out to really as many people as you want. I mean, don't.
Well, he said don't post it publicly though, because there are people that pay for the like.
But if you have a big, like a really close group of followers that you want to engage and want to see this, totally happy with that. And this will be recorded, both audio and visual. So if you guys want a copy of it for anything, I'll totally give it to you. Yeah. The edited version that I post, it won't be the full thing. When I post it to my podcast, I try to keep it like 40 minutes. So I don't know what I'll have to cut out yet.
Oh yeah, look at that. It's already going. Oh, jeez. Prepare for that. I know, right?
I'm going to move that mic.
Yeah, it was a very interesting experience. So one thing that we're doing, I'm like 20 live is like previously Russian actors play at Shoveltown thing, but it's on Facebook, also on YouTube.
Oh yeah.
And we put it on at like 7:30, and we're on 8.
Oh yeah.
So we're just showing our, I was just around with the camera, like, figure it out. But we're live, like tell you we're live, please, like.
So the guy that's like running the whole thing is like, I think your friend just flipped off the camera. I'm like, what? I mean, how can we have known? Like, we're supposed to be live until, like.
And that's the other thing I do with this is I leave it on during the time that I'm playing music, so people who follow it can see like bonus hour of interviewing. So we'll keep talking, and this mic will pick up our talking during the music, but these will be off. All right, 3 minutes. I think I covered it. Oh yeah, and I need to tell everybody this. It is still radio, even though it's AM, so we can't swear.
Right.
One of my guests that I did not have a chance to tell that to, and she said shit like twice. I'm like, okay, you guys. Right, yeah. Imagine your grandmother is listening.
Well, you're just kidding.
Okay, never mind.
I'll go into network book.
Right.
Instruction.
Oh, okay.
So I'll wait like network book. Yeah.
You should be swearing like okay. Don't have to turn that on. I'll write that down.
So how did you end up here?
I just through a couple different connections. A woman that I interviewed, Katie, she knew somebody who worked at an independent station. I emailed him and said, hey, is there room for my show? He said, no, but I know somebody at this station here. It's called brokered programming, so I have to rent this spot, which is why I need sponsors.
Yeah.
And the guy was happy to have me. He's like, yeah, we have a spot. Go ahead and come on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was
Very
really,
cool.
because
It kind of all fell into place.
it really did, yeah. All right. This will happen. This should be the last song. We'll just have to trust that everything comes through. Can you hear it? You can hear it?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, good. Check, check, check. Check one. There we go. Hey, and welcome back to Music from Friends on WNTN 1550 AM. I'm your host, Brian Thomason. Be sure you follow the show on Instagram at Music from Friends and check out the live video stream tonight. We have guests playing in studio, so that's great. It's on patreon.com/Music from Friends. The first song that we're going to play is from tonight's guest, and it is called Wine and Whiskey.
Weeks been long and the boss is getting mad. The traffic makes me crazy and my dogs are looking sad. It's only Monday, the weekend's too far. Come on, baby, let's go to the bar. You drink the wine, I'll drink the whiskey. Throw one back and lean in to kiss me. Shut off the world, it ain't gonna miss me. You drink the wine, I'll drink the whiskey. The kids are enough to drive me to drink. The house is so loud I can't even think. The bills are in piles and I need a new car. Let's leave it all behind and go down to the bar. You drink the wine, I'll drink the whiskey. Throw one back and lean in to kiss me. Shut off the world, it ain't gonna miss me. You drink the wine, I'll drink the whiskey. When we get back, all the problems will be waiting. For now, let's go on a Jack and Coke vacation. We ain't got money to go very far, but who needs sun when there's booze at the bar? Gotta get up early, do it all again tomorrow. Now let's drink away all the sorrow. Feel it in the morning, it's gonna leave a scar. This right here's my favorite bar. You drink the wine, I'll drink the whiskey. Throw on back and lean in to kiss me. Shut off the world, it ain't gonna miss me. You drink the wine, I'll drink the whiskey. You drink the wine, I'll drink the whiskey. Throw on back and lean in to kiss me. Shut off the world, it ain't gonna miss me. You drink the wine, I'll drink the whiskey. I'll drink the whiskey. You drink the wine.
Hope I don't screw this intro.
I'll drink the whiskey.
I read it like a couple times. All right, tonight's guest is a country music duo from right here in Massachusetts that proves opposites can make great music. He's a little bit of country, she's a little bit of city, but together they have made a unique, stripped-down country music sound that is reminiscent of their genre's pioneers. They've been playing music live for several years, but just released their first self-titled EP early in 2021. That 5-song EP got a lot of notable attention in the mainstream country music world just shortly after its release. The first single you didn't hear, You Said, and the other one you just heard, Wine and Whiskey, and another song, Little Ray of Light, have had lots of radio play on 101.7 The Bull and Country 102.5 here in the States. They've even been played internationally on 89.5 The Valley in Australia and in the UK on the country music playlist Barking About Music. In addition to the EP, you can find them playing at all sorts of venues, some public, some private, right here in Massachusetts. We even get a special treat and get to hear them play live in studio tonight. It's a pleasure to welcome to the show, Jake and Jenny. Hey.
Hi. Thanks so much for having us.
Thanks for coming on. You guys have been very busy lately.
Have been, yeah.
You just had a show this, 2 days ago, right?
Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday night. We played in Easton at the Easton Country Club. And the weather wasn't the best.
It didn't pour yet.
It didn't.
It was almost there, but we played inside to see what happened. But it was just on the verge of possibly hitting us. So
But that being said, we still had a decent turnout, and
it's a fun show.
it is, and it's just so nice to be able to play again
Right.
after all those
Oh, yeah.
months of COVID and not being able to play and not, everything was live streamed all of the time.
Right.
So we have been busier than ever. I actually feel like.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been really fun.
Yeah, and I think I said on the live Instagram live we did at the beginning of the week that there have been at least 2 shows I've been trying to come see you guys play, and then weather has canceled it. So it's like the worst luck with weather, me come see you
I know.
guys. But even during COVID, you were pretty active live streaming.
Yes. There was
Yeah.
one almost every week, let's say.
Yeah, for a while anyways. We and that was so interesting because that was not a format that we had ever done before. Neither one of us was totally comfortable with that because, when you're used to playing to a live crowd, you get at least some sort of crowd interaction versus the live stream was just a flat camera, and we'd end a song and kind of look at each other and be like, okay, what do we do now?
Right. Yeah.
So we did the live stream thing for a while, and one thing that I kind of took away from it was that it forced us to do something that we wouldn't have otherwise done, and it kind of pushes you into doing, out of your comfort zone a little bit. So I kind of feel like it was a good thing. It's not something I'd want to do all of the time.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different, if you have a crowd have one in front of you, and have a crowd kind of, it's a bit different, seeing comments kind of stuff, which is great, but which is, it's not as fun, I would say, but it's, still good, fun show kind of thing.
It was something.
Yeah.
It was a way to be able to
Yeah.
play.
Exactly.
Yeah. Good. So we'll come back and talk more about that in a minute. But let's start at the beginning of everything. Individually, how did you both get started? Well, I guess not both, but individually. Jenny, you go first. How did you get started musically? What's your music background and
Sure.
upbringing around music?
So I've been singing pretty much since I've been able to talk. My parents have old videos of me on our little fireplace at our house with a hairbrush, and I would just sing whatever, and I was in the back seat of the car singing, and my mother would be like, "Right down," So like ever since I was young, and then once I got into, I actually started music in 3rd grade with the violin, and I played for 3 years. And in 6th grade, I remember all these kids coming like to the next class, and they were singing all these songs that they all knew from wherever they were in chorus. I'm like, where'd you guys learn those songs? And they were like, oh, chorus. And I'm like, well, I want to do chorus. So I ended up quitting the violin, joined chorus, which apparently was a good move because my chorus teacher was like super enthused that I was there because I was like that dorky kid that was enjoying chorus and everybody else was like, that sucks. But I was up there like, yay, I love chorus. And then I got into high school and I got really serious about it. And I joined the jazz choir, and I did the select choir and all that stuff, took private voice lessons, and ultimately really wanted to go to school for music in college, and kind of thought I was going to take the opera route for a while.
Interesting. Okay.
But I ended up, like kind of going back and forth about going to school for music, and ultimately it was kind of decided between me and my parents that it just maybe wasn't the best route for educationally anyway, so I could do it on the side if I wanted to. So I ended up going into teaching, and just kind of forgot about music for a while after college. But there was a huge hole, and it was just missing. And so finally I decided I needed to get back into it. And that's when I kind of came across Jake. And well, I guess we'll talk about that afterwards. But that's kind of like it's in my soul. It's been in my soul since the time I was little.
So what did you teach?
5th grade. I still actually.
Oh, so everything if you were teaching it.
Yeah, I teach everything. So
wow.
Yeah. So.
Did you ever think about teaching music?
I did, and that was my parents' suggestion. They were like, well, why don't you go be a music teacher?
Right.
And that sounded like the most torturously awful thing in the whole world.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just think like I wanted to perform, and I didn't think that I would feel fulfilled teaching children that, and like especially at an elementary level.
Oh, okay.
Although now that I'm a classroom teacher, I look back and think, you dummy. Like that would have been great because, like you're doing like what you love to do and then not having the same workload that a classroom teacher has necessarily. So it was something that crossed my mind, but I'm actually glad that it worked out the way it did because I think if I had taken that route, we wouldn't be here right now.
So how many years have you been teaching?
More than I care to admit. It's been at 18.
All right.
Yes, it's been a long time.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
I was a teacher for 10 years.
Oh, really?
But high school. Theology,
English?
Actually. No.
Theology.
Yeah, theology.
Oh, man. That's some heavy duty stuff.
It's
See,
nice.
but then here you are, like in this world too now, right?
Completely different world.
Isn't it though? It is.
But loving it.
Awesome.
So.
Well, good for you.
So how, really quick before we get to Jake, how did you find country music or this country kind of feel in Boston?
I know,
I know
right?
it's bigger in Boston because there's the Bull and there's some other stations here, but I don't picture that. I'm from Oklahoma. Everybody knows country there.
Oh, okay.
But being in the city, I thought everybody listened to, pop or
no,
rock.
you're right.
Or rap or whatever.
Like growing up here in Massachusetts, country was not a big thing at all. And I remember, I'm aging myself here, but like back when, country like really started in the 90s with like Garth Brooks and like, that was really popular at the time. Like you would hear stuff like that or you'd hear the Shania stuff, but that was kind of the extent of it. And I don't feel like it was until Kenny Chesney started coming around to Gillette that it started really picking up around here and Country Fest took off. And I feel like that's when people who here in Massachusetts, in Boston area specifically, started to get more interested in country music. And I was not into it at all until a friend of mine is like solely a country music fan, and I started hanging out with her, and she would put it on. Like, oh, this music is terrible. Oh God, can we listen to something else? And then it just grew on me, and then the next thing I knew, I was like only primarily listening to country. And now I absolutely love it. And Jake has given me an education for sure.
Very, very in depth.
I bet, yeah.
Because he is like probably like what you grew up on, knows the ins and outs and backwards and forwards, and every country person you could ever know, Jake knows it. I mean, his extent of country music knowledge is deep. So I've learned a lot from him. He's exposed me to so much that I would never have ever listened to before. And it's actually, I think, really influenced my ear in general and what we've done for sure. So I have him to thank for a lot of that.
Nice. And look at that transition. That was a great, smooth transition to toss it over to Jake.
Pressure there.
All right. So how did you grow up around music? So
I grew up around music, let's see, since basically I was born.
Okay.
Just parents playing like a radio kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
I grew up. Well, I was born in Pennsylvania, but I grew up actually in Charleston, South Carolina, and obviously that area.
Oh yeah.
So and then I came back out to Pennsylvania when I was 6. With parents, and then even there it's big. Basically, basically it's so. If you're in a band, it's either rock or country. Nothing between. So I chose country.
There you go.
Yeah. But I started off on the saxophone in the 3rd grade.
Okay.
On the alto, then I went to tenor. Then I should say that I was bored playing the saxophone, but you get more girls playing guitar than saxophone.
Yeah, definitely.
So-
although I was in jazz band too, and the saxophone players, like I played drums in jazz band, and the saxophone players.
Oh
they
yeah,
tend
you
to-
gotta pick one out of all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sax, for sure.
So, all right.
Yeah. So then so I started playing bass. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Actually in a jazz band, and then I started playing bass out with I made some friends. I was in some punk band at first, and just like easy 4-chord songs, whatever.
Yeah.
And then and then I said, you know what, I'll play guitar. So I started playing guitar and been doing it ever since. In fact, in college, I was on a sound crew at a theater.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I learned all about sound, like actually big sound stuff, and like board, all kind of stuff there.
Right.
And then I was on a sound crew for a band called Being Rich.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like,
Oh, I know.
yeah,
that is
I know
good.
who that is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was on the crew for a show or two, and
Oh, wow.
I was that's what I want to do.
Just doing the board and everything, the soundboard.
I was on a sound crew, so I wasn't. I'm like engineer, I was more or less like I helped set up, monitors,
okay,
stuff,
okay.
cables,
Oh, nice.
all that fun stuff.
Right, and they probably needed a big crew because they have a lot of.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, granted, it took us 3 hours set up, but there was still a bunch of stuff to obviously run. So then I came here for work. I do HVAC work.
Okay.
And came here because this is where all the money's at.
Right.
Boston is cranked all over the place, so they need that kind of stuff. So I came here and I couldn't really find a band at first. I just I was in a few trials for a few hard rock bands, country,
Mhm.
and posted on Facebook on a group that is for basically I'm like you're trying to find a band. I'll like say I'm the I play this instrument, I did some music,
Mhm.
in that or anything. And I posted, I'm here, I play guitar and bass, and I'm into country music, and I had nothing for a
Oh
year,
man.
almost a year. So I
Even with both instruments, bass and guitar,
Yeah.
still nothing.
nothing. And I see it without either. Like it was all hormonal stuff, which is fine, like I enjoy some of that stuff, but for me personally.
Right.
And then I got the message on my DMs, and it was Jenny.
Nice.
And here you are, stuck with
Here
me.
we are, yeah.
Because nobody
Years
else
later,
wanted
yeah.
to play country.
So is that really it? Like you saw this
Yeah,
ad
it
and you're
was
like,
it
oh,
was
I
like
want to do this.
Match.com for musicians, basically. Yeah, no, so when I had decided that it was time for me to get back into it, and I was like, all right, I need to do this. It was like, I don't know, it was like 11 o'clock on like a Saturday night,
Yeah,
and I
it's
was
late.
laying
Oh,
there,
really?
and I was
Who's
like,
DMing
what am
me?
I going to do? How am I going to get back to this? Like, I need to do something. And then I'm like, you know what? And it was like one of those like crazy moments of like, I probably should not be messaging this person. I have no business asking anybody to play anything with me because I haven't done this in forever. But like, just like a moment of like, forget it. I'm just going to do it. And so I found his ad on the Facebook page for musicians. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to do it. And I just wrote him a message and I was like, hey, did you ever find a country band? And
Nope.
he wrote back and he probably was like, looked at my message and was like, what is this? And I was like, all right, well, like, would you want to get together and like see if we can play? And so he was like, yeah, sure. And he came to my house and we, played through a few songs and we were like, oh, like we kind of hit it off right away actually. And I think it was cool because, obviously like it suited his talent right away. And I think he saw that like I was halfway decent anyways.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, all right, maybe I can make something out of this one.
Potential.
And then I was like, all right, well, and so we were talking about that brewery, and I was like, well, there's a brewery down the road, and they do open mic nights on Thursday nights. Would you want to go and like just try a few and see what happens? I was like, yeah. So we did, and we got like such an amazing reception from the first time we played.
Yeah.
I was so surprised because I'm like, despite what I may put off on the regular, I'm not a super confident person. So I was like not expecting that at all. And I was totally blown away and so surprised and so excited because I was like, oh, that was really fun. Let's do it again.
Like, oh, she'll do it. Okay.
Right. Were you playing covers at that time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
right. Because it was just when
yeah,
you're starting out.
we were
Okay.
just
Yeah.
starting.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, there's another open mic down the road, like down in that town. You want to go try that one? And like, he was like, yeah, sure. And so we did that one. And I think that was when your friend, Ryan, who's our sound engineer now, came and joined us for that one. And he just came like to listen. And I had a couple friends listen. And we played and they were like, you guys are really good.
Wow.
I was like, really? Oh, okay. And so then I looked at him like at the next time we got together. And I was like, hey, I'm like, well, do you think we should like try and see if we can get paid to do this? Like, see if somebody would hire us and let us play somewhere? And he's like, yeah, sure, why not? And it was so funny because the person who gave us our first shot actually was, so I had shared with my with the Alumni Association that I was like back into music or whatever, and somebody reached out almost immediately was like, hey, I'm the manager of this bar in the town we were talking about earlier, and was like, we're looking for someone to play. Do you guys want to play? It's 3 hours, blah, blah, blah. And immediately I was like, yes. And then I went to Jake and I'm like, we don't have 3 hours of things here. What are we going to do? Like, we hadn't been playing together long enough to have 3 hours of covers.
Wow. Yeah.
So like,
that's a long time.
It was, well, especially for a band who like basically had been playing together 2 months.
Wow.
And
it was great. I mean, it was like back in like camp kind of thing, so we kind of just learned a ton of songs. And
it was crash course.
Yeah, and how it worked or some somewhat decent.
Right.
And then I guess we did a good job because we're just right here right now. But
yeah. Well, do you remember how nervous I was before?
Yeah.
Before that first time, I was like, oh my god, I don't think I can do this, and because like in my head, I just like made it so a thing because I was like, oh my god, we're the band that everyone is gonna hear all night long.
Right.
And it went great, and we had friends come out and see us, and they were so supportive from day one.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
And then like after that, I was like, yep, this is what I want to do. Like, we're gonna do this, and then it just kind of took on a life on its own after that.
All right. So was that around? That must have been around 2019 because that's when your first Instagram post happened.
Yeah. So
as
I
Jake
think
and Jenny.
2019. So we actually started practicing January of that year.
Okay.
No, wasn't it 2018? No, I think it was 2018. I don't think I started an Instagram until like a year later.
Okay.
Because at that point, like we were still kind of just like playing around with it. Like we weren't playing nearly as much as what we play now. I would say we were doing like 1 a month, maybe 2 a month, maybe.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about this now, but like we didn't even have a name.
Okay. Go. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and then like we were playing with other people here and there. Like we had a friend of ours who played the cajon, and he played on some stuff with us periodically, and it was kind of hard to jive and whatever else. And so we were kind of like, all right, well, we'll just do the duo thing. And I didn't know anything about promoting or marketing or, I mean, again, total crash course. And I was like, well, what are we going to call ourselves? And so my full name is Janelle. And he, one night we were like just practicing or whatever else. He's like, does everyone always just call you Janelle? And I'm like, I've never been called anything else my whole life. And he's like, you don't seem like a Janelle. He's like, it's just so serious. And I'm like, well, what else would I be? He's like, I don't know, like Jenny? And I just started laughing because I'm like, I've never been called Jenny my whole entire life. So he's like, I don't know, like, what if we call ourselves Jake and Jenny? And I was like, oh, I kind of like that.
Yeah,
and so
it works. It
Yeah,
works.
it does.
Yeah.
It works, and here we are. And
Nice.
I
now,
was very creative, right?
Right? Yeah.
It's so great.
You really had to dig deep.
and now, like, I almost feel like I identified more as Jenny.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like, all my family and my friends, and everybody knows me as Janelle. But like, a lot of times, like, when I go and introduce myself for the first time now, I'm Jenny, which is so funny because I just feel more like Jenny than I, maybe ever. It's like I feel like it fits the identity that I am.
Wow.
So that was Jake that came up with that.
So when would you start? When would you say that this whole thing started? Is it in 2018?
It
with
was
the
definitely
main-
2018 when we first started playing together, and then like I think.
So actually playing as in 2019.
Yeah, I would say like 2019 is really kind of when things took off. Well, kind of took off, and then COVID hit like the year after that. So we got like some momentum in 2019,
Okay.
and then COVID hit, and then that wasn't a bad thing though necessarily for us because it gave us an opportunity to kind of turn inwards.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
No, and it was almost for us kind of like, I should say like a blessing, but that was our best year because we had the most like paper kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And our EP, like it was just great.
It gave us time to record,
Yeah.
gave us time to write.
Practice.
Yeah.
So is that really what prompted the EP? Was COVID? And you're like, well, we can't play live anymore. So
Yeah.
what are we gonna do?
I'm like, is that? It was also, it was also kind of like, like I was saying, if we're gonna be like a band, we have to have our own. We have to have, it could be on the radio.
Right.
We have to have our own songs and to go on covers, obviously.
Mhm.
So we decided to write songs, and then I found James' journal of song lyrics, but that thick of his lyrics. Like,
Really?
And I'm like, you gave him this in the year. Like, could have had
Well, you're holding out.
yeah, but like I could have had two written by now.
Well, because I thought they were terrible. Well, because it's funny because as you know, I'm a teacher, but like English has kind of always been my strength.
Okay.
So I was writing lyrics before I even met him.
Wow,
I was
alright.
just like, I had a notebook full of like, I guess it's poetry, which if you ask me if you like poetry, I tell you I hated it.
Right.
But I guess that's really what I
Right.
was
Yeah. That's
writing.
what it is. Yeah.
And I just had notebooks full of lyrics, and I would like just sit and write lyrics. And then when he was like, well, we should write some of our own music, I was like, well, here I have a notebook full of stuff, and like
Wow.
maybe we can use some of this.
And I was like, what the heck?
Wait, you got this song?
So are some of the songs on the EP from that notebook, or were those songs that you just created together? Okay.
I don't even know. Actually, no, I actually don't think. Well, they're probably in there after. So I have this weird habit of writing at 3 a.m. Like,
Oh. Okay.
so I'll, if I can't sleep, I'll wake up and then I'm laying there and it takes me hours to go back to sleep. So I'll grab my phone and I open up the
Mm.
notes on my phone. And so I'll do a lot of writing there rather than like get up and get out of bed and then
Right,
find
right,
my notebooks
yeah.
and whatever else.
Lamp on and all
So a
that
lot of actually what I have is in the notes section of my phone.
Oh, okay.
And Wine and Whiskey, the one that you just played, was definitely a 3 a.m. write.
Hmm.
And it was one that I just laid there, and like the first thing I heard out of that whole song in my head was like just like that like thump beat that you can almost hear behind
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I think this is a drinking song.
Right.
And so
There you
so
go.
I like got all the lyrics out, and then the next morning I texted him, I'm like, I think I have a song. And so like that was really like one of the first ones that like I wrote with hearing something in my head.
Hmm.
Most of the time I don't write lyrics with hearing something in my head. I take them to him and I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know, what can we do with this? But that one like I heard and I was like, I kind of feel like it sounds like this, and then we built from there. So there is a lot of stuff in notebooks that's never probably even gonna ever be touched because a lot of it is absolute
it will.
garbage.
It will.
No, there's a lot of
It's coming.
garbage.
It's
in there.
coming.
It'll be out. It'll be like our B-sides.
Yeah. More like D sides.
Do you think you were able to hear the music with the lyrics after you had been playing with him
Oh,
so much
totally.
that really kind of
Like I said before, like his understanding of music and country music and everything that he had been exposing me to
Mhm.
Absolutely influenced what I hear now. Like
Mhm.
I hear things so differently. Like even the song that I came to you recently, you were like, whoa, it sounds like blank, which he listens to like a ton of this particular person. And I was like, I was flattered that he even
Mm.
said that what I wrote sounded like that, because my like real influence growing up was always just pop. And so
Right.
the fact that I wasn't coming to him with something poppy like, which is always my fear that he's gonna be like, this is terrible. So like I was
I
happy
mean, I
that
never say that. I
No,
say,
he never
oh,
would.
nice.
We need to rework it.
Yeah.
That's how let's change these words out. Like, oh,
Yeah. Well, it's never the words really, more as it is like the sound of it or something like that. So, but yeah, definitely. I think like, you know, just being with somebody who, and what always frustrated me that I couldn't play the guitar
Mhm.
and that I couldn't like just pick it up and like, you know, when people write generally, like they do it all themselves on a guitar and like hear everything. And it does frustrate me that I can't do that. Although I'm getting a little bit better.
you
at
get
it.
better. Yeah. Your
Um,
lessons, kind of stuff.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
helps me and like
Well, actually, you did write us something.
I did write one
Oh,
song.
really?
on the
You've
guitar.
actually taught her how to play guitar?
Well, I shouldn't say taught her how to play, but I taught her to do chords.
Yeah,
Okay,
I taught me
yeah,
some
that-
chords and then
yeah,
like
that'll work.
I have this like geeky, dorky like chords sheet that like when I pull out my guitar, I put out the chord sheet and like I sit there and when I tell you like it's like finger by finger putting
Right.
it on the chords and then like following the sheet. But the song that I wrote on the guitar that one just kind of came to me like that day. So the song that he's talking about is on the EP. It's called Little Ray of Light.
Okay.
And so that song was written for a girl in my hometown who last summer had passed away from brain cancer.
Mhm.
And it was just something the community had really rallied around. And like, I didn't know her personally, but she was a student in the school where I
Mhm.
teach.
Mhm.
So like, you know, it's hard to, even though you don't know that child, have that not affect you. And then the day that she passed away, I had heard that she passed away. And as I was driving in the car, I heard this sound in my head. I just heard chords. And I ran home and I grabbed my guitar. And when I tell you, I don't know where this came from, it was not from me. Like it just came from somewhere else. It was totally given to me by somebody. And I brought it to him and I was like, this is what I came up with. And a lot of the lyrics that I actually came up with for that song were from the Facebook page. That's her memorial page. And a lot of like her family and her friends, and they were writing things about her and like who she was. And so I tried to capture some of that they had shared because I didn't know her personally. So that song is kind of special to me because, you know, obviously because of the influence, but also because that was something that I actually had done a lot of myself before I brought it to him. And then he cleaned it up and made it pretty
Right.
and, you know, made it
Did his thing.
made it actually
Did my
like
job, yeah.
viable. And I feel like I'm getting a little bit more confident that I'm hearing stuff in my head more than I've ever heard before. When I actually am writing lyrics, whereas before it was just words, and now I'm actually hearing like, you know, melodies and things.
Voices.
I know, it probably sounded like I heard voices in my head. Oh, so she's that kind of person.
All right, so why don't we play one of the songs? I don't know which two songs you're going to play tonight. Are you going to play that
I
one
mean,
that
we
you just talked
can
about?
do that. Yeah, I mean, since we just talked about it, why don't we do that one?
All right, so I'll give you time to adjust, get ready. All right, you're already there. And so the name of the song again is
Little Ray of Light.
Little Ray Lay.
I know, right? I know. It's gonna be a tongue twister.
Little Ray of Light. Okay, I don't know why that was so hard for me. Okay, here is Little Ray of Light by Jake and Jenny.
Little ray of light shining from the heavens, skies are blue and sunbeams bright. Always feel your love, never such a blessing. Shine on us, little ray of light. Here for just a moment, luck will always stay. You left a kinder place, showed us a better way. You always were an angel, now you've got your wings. You brought us all together, and still your sweet voice sings. Little ray of light, shining from the heavens, skies are blue and sunbeams bright. Always feel your love, ever such a blessing. Shine on us, little ray of light, and in our hearts we'll have the memory of your face. Love's the only thing time cannot erase. Your stay was all too short, though we are apart. Your grace is in our minds, your handprint on our hearts. Little ray of light, shining from the heavens, skies are blue and sunbeams bright. Always feel your love, ever such a blessing. Shine on us, little ray of light, little ray of light.
Awesome. So that song, Wine and Whiskey, and the first single you said have all done pretty well, and they've had a lot of success on mainstream radio. Like I said, how did that happen so quickly? I mean, the music is good. Yes, we'll start with that. But a lot of people have an EP come out and it doesn't do anything for a long time. But it seems like this came out, and then within months, really, it was picked up by radio stations. Do you have any idea how that happened? Contacts?
Yeah, I think it was it's all Jenny. She's like our manager / some person liaison kind of thing, and she sent out emails out to everybody literally. And
I guess I wasn't afraid to hear no.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I think like I said, you know, I didn't know anything about marketing or managing or any of that to begin with when we started doing this. I guess in some ways it's probably a good thing because it made me like not really think about it or overthink it, which I'm like a chronic overthinker.
Yes.
Oh, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. Yes.
But I don't know. I think by like kind of having some naivete to it, I just kind of was like, I don't know, I'm just gonna send some stuff to some people and see if they like it. So you know, there is that, and there's also like I'm a very observant person, and so we follow a lot of people that are out there doing what we're doing. And I kind of just watched what they were doing, and they say success leaves footprints. So I just kind of watched what they were doing, and I was like, all right, we're going to do that too. And so I would kind of just say, okay, well, I'm going to send an email to that, or, you know, do this. And that's kind of how the being local catch of the week on 102.5 with Carolyn Cruz happened. When we first started writing, I said to him, like, well, if we're going to do this, I want to be on the radio. Because, like, how cool would that be to hear yourself on the radio?
Right.
Like, what little kid when they're in music doesn't dream of that?
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, that was a dream from, like, the time I think both of us were young.
Yeah. Having a band, too, you're like,
yeah,
the awesome.
Yeah.
Band and kind of stuff. And I mean, I don't say we're famous, but like have people that will know our music out there.
Right, yeah.
To be played in, like in Boston and not in PA where it's in the middle of nowhere in mountains.
Right.
Be in that big city kind of thing.
Right,
That's
yeah.
kind of cool.
Wow.
It is really cool. And I think, like, it's one of those things that you just kind of think, oh, that's never going to happen. So when I saw that, like, you know, there were people that we knew that were doing the local catch of the week thing, I was like, well, I'm just going to email. Well, at first I think I went online to 102.5 and, like, you know, there were directions and whatever. And I just emailed Carolyn Cruz, which I probably shouldn't have. And I just was like,
Why not?
hey, like, here's our stuff. And, you know, we really couldn't do anything until we had our own songs and our own recordings. So, like, having that as a long-term goal for us kind of pushed us towards recording and doing all that stuff. And once we had that, and once we had our, you know, masters and, like, everything had been, you know, recorded and mastered and sounded good, then I was like, okay, I think we're ready. Like, let's just go for it. and like I said, I just wasn't afraid to have people tell us no, and I mean, what was there to lose?
Right. They're
Literally
just going to say
nothing.
no, and yeah.
Literally
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like nothing to lose, and if somebody said yes, cool. And so I kind of think that's why, like, just not being afraid to give something a shot, and if it works out, awesome, and if it doesn't, nothing lost.
Did you do the whole EP yourself, or was the
No,
studio
we were-
involved or anybody else involved?
We have a guy.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
So we're in Situate, DBJ Studios.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
I
you
also
guys
followed him.
Saros?
I followed him on
Yeah,
Instagram.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
he's awesome.
We're there. And it's experience.
Oh my goodness, that was such an education. Well, and it's not, I mean, this whole thing, like
Right.
everything that we do, like it just, you learn something coming out of it.
Mhm.
Even a show that seems like it's like, there's like two people there and whatever. And like, I don't know, you just always learn something with everything that you do. So the recording experience, I had recorded once before in high school, just because I was in an a cappella chorus
Oh, okay.
and we
Yeah.
had recorded
Yeah.
and whatever. And then I think he had, did you had recorded
I
before?
very very minimal. So
Yeah.
it wasn't it was basically just all like a show.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So we were
So
like
it's-
super new.
Yeah. So but it was like all right. It's done. So like after I get on track. All right. Play again. And like 8 more times.
Right.
I'm like by the time I was ready to just point out it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because we crash course the whole thing too.
Yeah.
So I think like most normal people probably take their time with recording, and like we were like, we're just gonna do it all in one weekend.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was a Saturday
Wow.
and
It
a
was-
Sunday.
That is a crap. That is like
Yeah.
just all at once.
It was.
A
And
lot of beer.
I have a feeling
Nice.
that probably wasn't the best way to do it.
It
Although
works.
The sound engineer Jay, he is amazing and like totally professional and knows exactly what he was doing. He was so helpful because he knew how green we were.
Okay.
And we did. And so like the first day was mostly just recording everything, and then the second day was a lot of like the cleaning up and stuff like that. And I got so sick of hearing my own voice, and I finally at one point turned to Jake and was like, oh my God, this is what you have to listen to all the time. I'm so sorry. Like it was sheer torture because, like despite the fact that like you try to listen and be in tune as much as you can, there's always little glitches here and there
Right,
when you
right.
sing. And so, you're going through and you're doing the fixing and it's just like,
Oh,
and
yeah,
you're
just
like,
little-
oh
There's a
my,
little- yeah.
just little, and because you have to make it perfect, and
Yeah.
as perfect as you can get it for a recording.
Right.
So that was an experience listening to that over and over and over again. I was like, oh my God, I'm never singing ever again. And I was like,
Yeah.
but then afterwards, like, we got the final and whatever. And I remember looking at him, like with tears in my eyes, like, oh my God, that's us. Like,
Wow.
so it was like a humbling experience,
Mm.
realizing how much you do not know. But also just an incredibly like moving experience. Like, oh my God, we just did that. And then when it like really like was real was, when we got everything mastered and everything got sent back to us, and then we put it up on Spotify for it to be on there.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got like the notification that it was on Spotify. And like I called him like, Jake, it's like no chill
Right.
whatsoever.
It's happening.
It's happening, it's really
I was working on the phone. I was like, oh, hang on. It's like, I first you can how go.
happening. Like, I was like, oh my God, oh my
Yes.
God. And then, so, and it's really like a surreal thing to hear yourself
Mhm.
in that sort of situation because again, like, it's like if you have, any sort of aspirations of being a musician, when you think about like, oh, well, like someday I'm going to be on the radio or someday I'm going to have an album or like I'll be on Spotify or iTunes or whatever. And it just seems like a pipe dream,
Right.
and then it's real and like it hits you and you're like, the magnitude of like,
Mhm.
even if it's not like the most crazy successful thing, I mean, you're not like selling records like Garth Brooks or whoever, like it doesn't matter. It's just this incredible thing to like sit there for a second and be like, that's us. We did that.
Right.
And like, even
Yeah.
if nobody ever listens to it, like that's us. Like that's so cool.
Right. Yeah. It must be one thing to be on Spotify, but then to hear it on the radio.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I
Like-
totally dorked out on that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's got to be like next level. Like, okay, here we
It
go.
was cool too because like at the time I was home with family and it was on iHeart, so
Oh, yeah, yeah.
down there as well, and like that was where like people sit down and I saw my mom. I saw tears from like,
Wow.
stop it. I'm gonna start crying.
That's
Start
awesome.
crying, stop it.
That's
well, because it was like
So,
mom
that's
and
really
Mick and your brother. It was
Yeah.
everybody,
There's everybody
right?
from my
Yeah.
family. My dog's there.
awesome. Dog's
I'm-
barking, dog's happy.
So he's in Pennsylvania listening to it, and I'm in the driveway of my car because I'm like, I'm listening to this on the actual radio.
Yeah.
So I'm like in the driveway in my car. I've got like my phone is like, oh my god, our name is on the screen. Like hard dorking out.
That's awesome.
But it was a trip. It was just so cool to be like, even if it never happens ever again, like it was just really cool. And I hope it never gets old because every time it's happened, I get excited. So.
It's funny. My best friend David, when he listens to this show, I sent him the link to listen online, but he's like, nope, I want to listen in my car. So he'll like, go to his car and drive around or do something and just listen on the radio because like, I really like the experience of hearing it on the.
I do. I think there's something to be said for that. Like, same thing. Like as a book. Like I love to read like an actual book with pages. Like, if you have to read it online or a Kindle or whatever. But there's something to be said for like the original format.
Right.
So
I think radio still has a lot of pull for musicians. I mean, streaming is a huge thing right now, and that's how most people get their music. But there's still that dream, that goal of being on the radio.
totally.
It still has a lot of pull. So before we get to the next song, Carolyn said a lot of great things about your music. You have her quote
Very, very generous, yeah.
on your website. I think she said there was some folk influence, but just how would you describe your sound overall? I mentioned at the beginning, it's kind of reminiscent of the older 60s, 70s, which she pointed out too. Is that where you want to be, or where do you see yourself kind of going with this after the EP? Do you want a big band with you? Do you want to start playing with a band?
Yeah. So basically, I see most country nowadays is mostly like the pop kind of sound, and like the backing tracks kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I recently listened to a lot of Shoulders, like all the Appalachian kind of stuff. It's kind of my if I hear Luke Bryan on the radio, right? I don't.
Not to knock Luke Bryan.
Not that I'm talking about, but it's just not my thing.
Right. Okay.
I mean, it's country obviously, but so I have to turn on something more old or like say older, more but
Classic.
yeah, classic stuff. Yeah. So basically, I'm trying to help the classic sound come back to the airwaves and the backtrack kind of stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's definitely an older classical feel to it.
Yeah, and I think like for me, again, like not really having the depth of country background like he does.
Yeah, you didn't have that same kind of growing up.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't, and I don't know. I think like I said, a lot of what he's been exposing me to does influence what we've come up with. But also, I do think that he's talking about that like full Appalachian sound. I think some of like the pop influence that I have, or like the modern country influence I have, pulls it back a little bit so that it is a little bit more mainstream. Because I mean, ultimately, like we're making music for ourselves, but we're also making music for other people to listen to and enjoy.
Yeah.
And so like I think between the two of us, and that's kind of why our bio says that kind of his country background and my city background meld together to come up with like an interesting and unique sound. I do think that because our influences are so different, he's pulling me one way and I'm kind of tugging him back in the other direction, but we meet halfway in the middle and we come up with something that I think both of us can be happy with.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've ever written anything that he's like, that is just way too pop, or that I'm like, that is just way too. We meet in the middle.
And I think that's the best kind of music. I was just listening. I was on an app today, Clubhouse, which is a social media app that's great for connecting. And I was listening to a couple of music executives, and they were saying the best music is when you're playing what you want to do and not trying to match somebody else, because then it just kind of gets lost in the noise. So when you can really discover your sound and your unique sound and get it out there, people will enjoy that or not or whatever, but you're being you, and that's really awesome.
Yeah, I don't think that any of the songs that are on that EP are anything but uniquely us. And it's funny because, I think there's a lot of musicians who create music and then they look back on some of the stuff that they did and they like cringe and they're like, oh God, like I hated that song or whatever. And I know that we're not that deep into it and we've only got like that one EP out, but like I listen to it. I don't often listen to our own music, but sometimes I need to review it so to make sure I get the words right. Because
I hate hearing my voice too, so I don't.
Yeah. But at the same time, like, I don't listen to any of it and be like, God, I hate that song. Why did we write that? Like, there's obviously ones that I like better than others,
Right.
but like I still feel like what we did is still very, I think, very us. And I think where we're going with it is still us, just, you know, like learning as we go and improving and getting better. And you had asked, like, do we want to have a band at some point? We definitely do want to have a backing band at some point. We still would be Jake and Jenny,
Right.
but, you know, maybe like just, you know, for places that are bigger places, have a fuller sound.
You're right.
And, you know, Jake plays electric guitar too. And I
All
think
right.
that's kind of one of
Yeah.
his goals to, you know, get adding
That's
some of
fun.
that.
Yeah. Some
No,
fun.
not this is fun, but yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that by the end of the year, we'll probably have a band probably, like, well, not like out playing yet, but like, it's not like a band probably just like put together kind of thing.
Okay.
But it'll
Another Facebook ad, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Who else can we find on Facebook Match?
Yeah, but
Bandmatch.com.
it takes time though, because like with the whole band thing, it's all about it's all about the mesh.
Right,
Everybody's-
right,
everybody's
absolutely.
meshed together. So I can just say, all right, I want this guy. I have to have, you know, practice numerous hours. Kind of stuff.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's the other thing for me too, is that like as much as the backing band is cool and like, you know, there's places that we could play if we had the full band. And
Garden.
okay, Jake. Oh my goodness. Wow. From here to here.
Right.
No, like, you know, and I'm interested in doing that, but like it also there's limitations to having a full band where, you know, the places that we play now you couldn't play necessarily with a full
Right.
band. They're not gonna hire a full band.
Mhm.
So we kind of want to keep Jake and Jenny as it is right now, but have the flexibility to expand and, you know, like to be a full band in the places where we would need one. And then, you know, maybe on the EP add like a little bit of, you know, other instruments here and there, but I don't want to do anything that's gonna totally change where we started.
So
Okay,
I can
yeah.
add like a banjo and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that would be cool though.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that
think
could
would
work.
be Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of that classical sound.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. No, I think that would be really cool actually.
Well, right now it was-
You're right.
And she's like, all right, what instrument can I buy next? What instrument can I buy next?
All right. So let's before we get to
goodness.
7 o'clock,
Wow, like
the
the
time just
Time
flies,
is
doesn't it?
flying.
Yeah. Before we get to 7 and we start talking about our favorite drinking songs, which is gonna be fun. Before we get there, let's play another song, or you
Sure.
guys can play another song.
You want to hop in?
No,
Yes.
I will not. I don't have a cajon here or a drum set,
Do
so
you play an instrument?
I do play drums. Yeah,
You do.
yeah.
Oh,
I played drum
cool.
set for since middle school, jazz band, high school. Then I played in college. Even play now, but
Awesome.
you know.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Being a drummer.
I know.
Uh-oh.
Facebook page looking for a drummer.
Right. And just
oh,
happen
look,
to.
Brian answered.
Am I going to get a message from you at 11 p.m. or midnight?
11 p.m. on a Saturday
No, it was
after I got free.
I was in bed sitting there, about to pass out. And oh,
What is this weird message?
There's some
There's this crazy
woman
chick.
messaging me.
Yeah,
in love, too.
exactly. Yeah, I mean that could go either way.
Right, yeah, it really could.
It really could.
All right, so
all right, so what do you want to do?
what's
What do you want to do?
Sure.
All right.
all right? Yeah, I'll let you do it, and then we'll talk about it afterwards.
sounds good.
Sitting home on a Thursday night, got a drink in my hand and my bones are tied. One more day in the week, we gotta survive. 60 hours and I'm barely alive. Hear your car pulling into the drive. That's when I know everything will be alright. Now we're dancing across the kitchen floor. Tell me you love me, but I love you more. No place in the world I'd rather be. You're coming home to me. Some days it's a struggle, some days it's a fight. There's days when there ain't anything that goes right. The only thing that can fix my day is you. As long as the good days outweigh the bad, you got it as good as picked one for me. Can't you see? Now we're dancing across the kitchen floor. You tell me you love me, but I love you more. No place in the world I'd rather be. Keep on coming home to me. When things get hard, it makes us stronger still. Every step lately seem to be uphill. It ain't always easy, but it ain't supposed to be. I'll do whatever it takes to keep you coming home to me. Yeah, yeah. Now we're dancing across the kitchen floor. Tell me you love me, but I love you more. No place in the world I'd rather be. Keep on coming home to me. Keep on coming home to me. Yeah, yeah.
All right, that was awesome. Where do you get the inspiration for these from? Like, is that from, a time in your life where you were?
Jake Special Day.
I know. So actually, so that's a funny story.
So I came up with the hook
Okay.
for this one, and the rest of this kind of.
Well, you also came up with the first two lines. You were like, what if we started it with sitting at home on a Thursday night with a drink in my hand? I'm like, all right, we can work with that.
Yeah.
And then he started playing, that background, and I was like, okay, well, what do I hear? And then as he continued to play, and I started to think about the shape of the song and where we were going with it, I was like, well, who would be saying that, and why would they be saying? It's like writing lyrics a lot of times is kind of just like writing a story. I actually think there is no song that I have ever, or lyrics that I've ever written that are personal. I can't write personal stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right.
Everything that I've written is either inspired by someone I know, or is a completely made up story, or just completely outside of myself. Because I don't know, I just feel like a lot of people write that personal stuff, and that's totally cool. But I think if there's anything particularly painful or anything like that, who wants to sing that over and over again? I don't want to sing that every night. Yeah, right? Breakup songs and whatnot.
Right.
Things.
Okay.
So no, everything that we've written has just kind of come from somewhere, and so that song just kind of came from those first two lines that he came up with, and I built it from there lyrically, and he went with it musically. And
Would you say that's your first true collaborative
I think so.
song together?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And that was probably the first song that we wrote collaboratively like that I kind of felt like, we should try it that way a little bit more often. Because I really was just writing lyrics, and then I would come to him and he would just come up with some licks of stuff, and I would look through all of my lyrics and be like, what lyrics match that sound?
Right. Okay.
And then we did that one that way. And then, so recently I read the Elton John biography.
Oh, okay.
And I was so fascinated by his relationship with Bernie Taupin, and how Bernie was the lyric writer, and he would give the lyrics to Elton, and Elton would read the lyrics and just come up with something. So I was like, hey, Jake, we're going to try that next. I'm just going to give you some lyrics, and we're going to see what you do with it. Maybe you have this inner amazing Elton John thing that we don't even know about yet.
We're going to find out. There's only one way to find out.
So we're kind of open to playing with how we write. And I think, even though we've been doing it a few years, I think we're still kind of played with, different ways of doing things, and that's how we did that thing. Can we try it a different way and, improve on what we did, or do something even better that we haven't even tried yet? So.
All right. We have a couple minutes before 7:00
Okay.
before we're cut off by the quick station identification.
Gotcha.
Before we get there, really quick, do you want to talk about how people can follow you, find you online,
Sure.
anything like that, really quick?
All right. So we are on Facebook and Instagram. Both are Jake and Jenny Music. And then Jake is not only a guitar player and an HVAC engineer, but on top of that, he is a website builder.
Oh, nice.
And-
All right. Nice.
He doesn't do it publicly, so no, you can't have him.
Right.
He writes, when I say he makes websites, I mean for us.
I mean,
So he
Okay.
built our website.
great.
So
That's
our
awesome.
website is www.jakeandjennymusic.com. So everything's Jake and Jenny Music.
Okay.
If you want to
That
email
makes it
us,
easy.
jakeandjennymusic@gmail.com. We tried to keep it all consistent, so it was easy to
Good.
find.
And for everybody listening, if you really like what they're doing, please listen to them, follow them. You can find them on Spotify and iTunes.
Yeah.
But also, if they want to send a little bit more love to you, there is the Cash App tip jar, virtual tip jar in my bio. So hopefully people will send a little bit extra love and give you a tip tonight
That would be lovely.
and this weekend, and I'll give it all back to you guys. Hopefully you get a little bit of support there and people can say, hey, doing great things. Do you have more music coming really quick?
Yeah, so we're going back into the studio at the first weekend of September.
Oh, okay.
And we are
Same studio.
Same
PJ?
studio,
Okay, nice.
same guy.
It
We
worked
love him
well.
so
What-
much.
what's
Yeah,
that?
it was
Okay.
good.
It
My
made
best
perfect
with something
sense.
works,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So we're recording them. We have, I think, 3 of, like, we're shooting for like 5 or 6.
Okay.
3 of the songs for the EP, and then we're going to be recording our Christmas song that we already
Oh,
have.
okay.
Yeah,
So that will be up
after
for
we
the
learned,
holidays.
except that they like 8 months. So
Well, no, that's not true. You played it recently.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So funny
You
story.
gotta figure out a way to work that
Oh,
in.
no, you're going to have your stage.
Yeah, we'll work that right on
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the other side. All right, that's how we'll start when we
All
come
right.
back. All right, and then so after that quick story, then we're going to talk about drinking songs, and I can explain why I've kind of been all over the place a little bit tonight. All right, so hang with us. We'll be right back. It'll be quick, probably like 15 seconds. I'm like nursing the whiskey. I didn't eat before I came, so
Oh,
no.
it'll be fine.
Have it through.
All right, there we go. All right. Okay, so you were saying you have played the Christmas song recently? How'd that go over?
So-
Christmas in July.
So, yeah, so,
It was literally in July. Wasn't it? Yeah, it was July.
so what was it, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. So our show in Easton, a friend of ours asked for that song. I'm like crap. I played that since Christmas.
Yeah.
So, like,
And we're at Easton Country Club, like
Okay.
in the middle of a public, regular old gig, and she is such a wonderful. She and her husband have been a follower
Yes,
and
definitely.
friend of ours since day one. And she's like, "Will you play Jolly Old St. Jack? Jolly Old I can't remember what the name of it. Jolly Old St. Jack." And I'm like, "That's a Christmas song." She's like, "I know, I just love it. Will you play?" I was like,
I was like,
You got to give the people what they want.
All
yeah, I
right,
was like,
well-
give me a real quick and figure this out.
Alrighty, then there you go, Eastern Country Club, Christmas in July. So we're gonna
That's awesome.
record that one too, so that for actual holiday season will be out.
Okay.
I know. Oh my god, I was dying with that. I mean, we're playing a private show for them. They hired us to do a
Mm.
private show for them for their son's wedding.
Mm.
And I
So
know
that was-
she
that
is
was-
going to
yeah,
ask for that song, so just be
Right.
prepared
You
because we're gonna
go over
rip
that
that
one.
one out again.
Is the wedding in at least around in December or?
No, it's.
Oh no, it's like next week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Jolly Old St. Jack in July, it's round 2.
Okay. All right. So, the playlist, favorite drinking songs. So let me explain a little bit of what's going on. Thankfully, you guys, to be on theme, brought some drinks to the studio today. So I am nursing. I told them during break, nursing my whiskey. It's Bullet, and it's really good, and I love Bullet. But I hadn't eaten, so I'm slowly sipping that, trying to keep it together. Thank you so much for bringing the drinks in, and you're both having
how
whiskey,
can you
and
talk
also
about
the.
drinking songs
the
and
Fireball,
not have
too, yeah.
Drinks. I mean, come on.
I'm just hoping to make it through the playlist.
You're good.
So yeah, this is great. Why? I don't. I don't know why I need to. I don't know why I need to ask.
Is that a real question? Why
I
drinking
loved.
songs?
I love this theme. I really love all the themes that the artist come up with. But when this happened, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then I told you, my girlfriend immediately when I told her just started blowing up my phone with
I
all
think I
of
saw
these
a bunch
instant-
of the ones that she suggested too.
Yeah, she and then she followed you guys immediately and started probably sending you guys stuff too, or at least listening to your stuff. So there was a lot of music on this playlist. Some of your favorites. What are some of your favorite go-to drinking songs? You talked about one, which was Snoop Dogg and Gin and Juice,
Oh
but
my
that
God,
was I don't know if that was a
yeah,
favorite so
yeah.
much as well. That's just
Unfortunately,
gonna happen.
Actually, that song I'm trying to learn for the at Del Slow, those so basically there is a version of that Upperman Chords
Okay.
who are just straight bluegrass.
Yes, and you shared that with me, and then I added it to the playlist.
Yeah.
That's a very good version.
Yes,
That's
so
a very
I'm trying to learn it so that at the Elks
Well, you
play
need like
that.
a mandolin or something, or
Well,
banjo.
like I said,
or...
I'll
Hey, go
I'll
ahead.
stuff it in the studio. Why not?
There you
Right?
go.
It's going on Amazon right after this. I'm picking up one.
No, so that's so funny because obviously, like being the age that I am, I grew up on Snoop Dogg and like
Same here.
Juice,
I think
right?
we are the same age.
Yes, I think so too. And so again, Jake exposing me to things I'd never heard. He was like, "Well, he's like, you like Snoop?" He's like, "Have you ever heard this version?" And he played it for me. I'm like, "That is incredible!
Right.
I love that version." And so, like, funny story. So I was at my parents' house last weekend, and my mom had juice, and she gave some to my kids. And then she was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna throw a little something in this." And so she grabs her gin and she throws it in the juice.
Probably
I'm like,
not with the kids, right?
No, not for the kids. Just
Okay,
for herself.
all right.
No. God, no. But my kids probably would have been like, yeah. So I'm like, "Oh, Mom, you having some gin and juice?" And she's like, "Is that a thing?" I'm like, "Yeah."
It has been since the 90s.
Snoop Dogg?
Right.
I'm like, "Have you never heard that song?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "All right." So I played it for her, and I played it the clean version.
Good. That's
Oh, her mouth still like
Right.
full mouth drop. Oh my goodness.
I put that on the Spotify playlist, but I can't put it on the radio playlist because, well, I mean, maybe the clean version,
The
yeah,
clean
but
version.
the
Well, I feel
non-clean
like
version
the
is.
bluegrass. Is
It's
that
not-
clean?
No, it is not
Oh,
clean.
they
No,
go
it
into
is
not.
everything.
And it's
All right.
funny to hear him say the same stuff that Snoop says, but in the
It's so
group,
straight.
you're like, huh, that's cool what he does there. So,
Sounds a little different.
all right, so I don't know if that counts as a favorite or what would be your favorite. Like
Well,
when
that-
you
that-
are
that's your
drinking, this
favorite,
is
right?
Oh well, I don't see the favorite. That's
Oh,
not that.
and
Like,
that's a top notch one though.
I'll say BW top 5. But favorite drinking song, jeez. I would say as right now probably be Booze Good Boogie by Russell Dunn.
okay. Yeah, classic.
And I
Classic.
mean, like, so what does that show you about your roots, right? Because he's going like Boots Good Boogie by Brooks and Dunn, and I'm like straight '90s like R&B girl. So I don't know, like I love like Remix to Ignition.
Yes, R. Kelly.
Favorite drinking song.
I don't know.
Sure,
I
why
feel
not?
like yeah, sure. They like popping bottles and stuff.
Right.
So
Well, yeah, and towards the end of the songs I have queued up for tonight, we start getting more and more party songs. It starts
Yeah,
out very
party
like
song.
kind of
That's what I
okay,
think of when I think of drinking.
Right.
But then, like, if you're talking about like country drinking songs,
right. That's how the list is going to start out. It's going to start out, very kind of country, and
there's
then
so
get
many.
into
I
that.
mean, what country song really isn't about drinking?
Right,
But
yeah, true.
I don't know. Like, there's so many good ones. 5 o'clock somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you were to ask me, like, what would you play while you were drinking and partying? Absolutely 90s, like hip hop. That's where we're going.
Okay.
I would do that opposite, but yes.
Right. And that's why you guys make great
But
music.
that is why we
That's why
are
we
who we are.
All right, and what is the next show coming up really fast that somebody can
Actually, we spoke
see
that recently. It'll be
Oh, tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah, that was like a
Oh.
pop-up show.
Oh,
so
wow.
the brewery that we were telling you about earlier, so Shoveltown Brewery in Easton,
Mm-hmm.
they recently opened up a pop-up in Foxborough because they're going to be putting a permanent location there.
Oh, okay.
But until the permanent location is done, there is like a outdoor beer garden.
Okay.
And so they just contacted us like while we were here earlier before the show started. They were like, "Hey, can you guys play tomorrow?" So we're doing a pop-up show at the pop-up tomorrow, 2 to 5 in Foxborough
Okay.
at the Shoveltown. I think it's technically called Taste of Foxborough. But it's right in the Rotary area, right down in Foxborough near Gillette.
Okay. Can people find that on your Instagram?
Yep.
Or will
we'll
as soon as
after
you
this-
get it?
Not yet. It's
Not
not
yet,
there
okay.
yet, but I'll post it after we're done here to make sure I get that up. But I think it's supposed to be a decent day out tomorrow. They have food, they have beer. Like
Oh,
it's a
well,
great place.
Yeah,
to be
tomorrow is supposed to be
outside.
pretty good.
Tomorrow's
Much better
supposed to be-
than today.
Yeah, much
Say,
better.
yeah.
So I think it's a good day to like come on out and pack the place, and we'll play our own drinking songs and have our own good time.
Nice. That's going to be so good. All right. Thank you both so much for coming on. This was great to finally meet you. I've been
I
seeing
know
you
it's
a lot on
been back and
Instagram.
forth, like forever.
I'm glad that I could have you in studio. I love when guests are in studio. I love your music, so keep going. This pulls me back to my Oklahoma roots as well. So
Awesome.
thank you so much. You're going to stick around. So people that follow me on patreon.com, and that's /music from friends. If you subscribe to that, you can hang out and see the bonus hour content where we're just going to be chatting in studio while the music plays. I'll pop on here and there and talk about some of the people that sent in suggestions. Ooh, That was a very loud motorcycle.
That was very loud.
We're right next to the highway.
Oh yes,
so
I can see out the
everything
window. There's
comes-
highway. It's actually you don't hear much until that one. though.
that motorcycle
Somebody
went by.
needed to
That
make
was
their
really
presence
loud.
known.
All right, so I'm going to get the playlist started with. Oh, this is a good one. This is Bartender by Lady A.
All right.
And these next 3 songs, so Bartender, Play It Again by Luke Bryan, and Snapback by Old Dominion. Those are sent in by somebody who follows me on Instagram, JNEESON, Justine. Thanks for sending these suggestions in, and here we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're good now. Yep. Yeah, so it's going to be country, and then slowly I got 2 like Irish drinking songs.
Ooh.
Well, one very Irish, and then one from the Flogging Mollies.
Oh, all right.
Which
Oh,
feels
I didn't
Irish.
even think about
Right.
going in that direction. It's like, that's the thing. One thing about the theme is like you can just do so much with drinking songs, so much. That's why it's kind of a fun theme too, because you're gonna get a cross section of what
I
people
really
like to
did.
listen to.
Yeah, I mean, this playlist, the Spotify has this on there, and then it goes into, Gin and Juice, where it has Yeah from Usher. That's going to be one of the songs I
Okay,
play.
yeah.
Montel Williams, This Is How We Do It. That's another one.
This is how we do it?
Yeah.
Oh, Regulators. Is that
Right,
a
yes.
drinking song?
Yeah,
I feel like
maybe.
it has to be.
Right. It so easily goes from drinking to party.
Yeah.
So it's like, what
Right.
are people
It's just
feeling?
like there's like a very thin line,
Yeah.
so you can get away with a lot.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I have 3 kids and my oldest is 10.
Yeah.
And he is so interested in 90s R&B.
Oh, really?
And so like he's like focused on like learning all the words to Regulators.
That was me in like middle school.
Oh
So
my god! And I'm like, I don't know if I really want you learning all of them. I'm conflicted because yes, I do because I feel like that's good mothering.
right.
It's a good song, but on the other hand, it's terrible mothering because he's 10 and you don't really understand any of what the lyrics
That's
mean.
hilarious.
But
That's great. Jake, do you have any kids?
No.
Okay.
I thought,
he's got guitars.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, those count as kids. Just as expensive.
All right. Well, I don't know.
Not long term.
Right.
Yeah, I ordered a new one actually last night, so pretty funny, but yeah.
Oh wow.
It's just
Yeah, but
video.
they don't back talk to you at least. You have
Well,
to ground them for shit.
I get that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
There you go. That's good.
Oh,
That's
God.
classic. That's good.
Oh my goodness. So, do you have kids?
I have 2. Yeah, I have 2 daughters,
You do?
13 and 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And they're amazing. I love them both. Very opposite from each other.
Aren't they always? Though?
So
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
They barely get along. When they do, it's amazing. But
Oh, really?
but yeah, they're very, very, very different
Yeah.
from each other. So.
Yeah. I feel like so between my 3, so my 2 oldest are boys, and then my youngest is a daughter. She's basically mini me, right?
Yeah.
Which is Sorry World. There's a second one. But my boys are like totally different. Like they like a lot of the same things, but at the same time, like my one is like super sensitive, and
Oh, really?
my other one's like, like I'm a man.
My friend John is supposed to. He's going to text me when he's here,
Okay,
and then one of us will go let him in.
awesome.
And he might. He said he's going to play it by ear too.
Okay,
He
cool.
says he's going to play it studio and see what happens afterwards. So.
Cool.
And you're definitely in for sushi.
Oh, you told me sushi. Like that's all I've been thinking about all day.
Alright.
Is there a good sushi place around here?
The one that Rachel and I go to is in Newton. It's okay, but you can't eat in. They only do takeout now.
Wow,
So I don't know.
really?
Yeah,
It's gotta be something. I mean,
I'm sure there is.
Oh, you know what? No, we're not preference. Denim. There's a bunch of things around that way.
I have no idea. It's not from here, so
Oh my God, this is my song.
yeah, it's definitely a big song.
Yeah, this is yeah. This is these are a good 3. And then Hole in the Bottle I have on
Oh
here.
yeah, I think I
2
saw
people
something.
sent that one to me.
Yeah, that's such a good one too.
Yeah, I start crack. I'd never heard that song.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, it's such a good one.
and her name is Kelsey. Kelsey.
Ballerini,
Kelsey.
right? Yeah.
Ballerini.
That song's funny because if you Fireball's really sweet when you're just sipping it.
When it's not in something.
when you shoot it, you don't really
Right.
feel that. But it's very
What are
sugary.
you
I
sipping?
go, my favorite go face.
Oh.
Because I know he's not a Fireball guy.
Yeah.
But
Bunch of college.
Hole in
I
the
agree
butt.
with that
Oh,
college
is that
show.
why you don't like
So
it?
if I had anything now, I could.
I can't even have vodka because I got super drunk on vodka. in
Really?
college. Yeah, and now even
Like this.
oh god, that tastes like mouthwash. Why would you drink that? Oh my god, I feel confused about what just happened. Like,
You brush your
I
teeth or
finished this spit.
I mean, like, if it's chill, it's kind of better chill, but
right.
yeah.
I like the cinnamon apple, like when you put Fireball in the apple cider,
Oh,
Yeah.
like a hard cider.
That
Hard
actually
cider.
is good.
In what, in like spiked cider or just
Yeah,
regular
like
cider?
if you take like a downeaster or something.
Gotcha. You know, I don't think I've ever tried that.
Yeah, it's good.
There's
There's a name for it. It's like cinnamon apple or something. Because it
Yeah,
tastes
it's like a,
like an apple pie.
You're right, something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't generally like sweet stuff, so I think because I always just shoot Fireball, I don't realize how sweet it is. Now that I'm just like kind of sipping on it, I'm like, ugh.
Does it have any sugar? Oh, I mean, it
Sweet.
probably always
It's
has.
gotta have
Yeah.
sugar.
Oh yeah.
Well, I try not to drink like a lot of sugar
Well-
anyway, so like I'll get like vodka and seltzer or
Right.
like something like
We
that.
freeze
So.
it actually like so don't freeze it with let's say syrup, little sugar, freeze them.
Oh, that makes
Oh,
sense though, actually, yeah. I have to say I'm not hating the bullet right now. Like remember I never really wanted to drink. I'm a maker's girl. I like
Okay.
makers. But actually kinda like and maybe it's like again, his influence rubbing off on me. For better or for worse.
Yeah, I've liked whiskey and bourbon for some not forever, but
Yeah.
started getting into it as an adult. And then Rachel hated it, and then now that we've started drinking more, she's starting to get okay. Like I'll make her whiskey sours all
Okay.
the time. She's like, "Oh, this is great."
Did she ever try the old fashioned?
She's tried my old fashions.
love
I drink
old
old fashions all the time.
That's my favorite.
But they're a little stronger. But she loves whiskey sours. Like she could just down those. all the
Yeah.
time, so. All right, here's Snapback, Old Dominion. This is a good song. And somebody told me that Old Dominion actually writes a lot of music for other people.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Okay.
So I consider them like the top 50.
Yeah, that's a
because,
good point actually.
So they wrote. I mean,
For other people.
For other people.
Well, I know that guy. So there's like the blonde dude in Old Dominion. He's written a ton of stuff on his own. He wrote that horrible song "Sangria" for Blake Shelton.
Okay.
But yeah, like they all like sing. But it's funny because like the more I learn, the more I realize that like people are just cranking out songs,
Yeah.
and then like here you have that one, you have that one, like
Right.
you know. So
Especially during COVID, it seems like now the thing is get singles out.
yes,
And a lot of the bands I follow, they're trying to put singles out
Yeah,
like once a
definitely.
month,
Yeah.
once every
Oh, definitely,
month.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it seems like that's the way to go more than albums. I mean, even the EP was better than.
It's interesting because I feel like a lot of like the big people are releasing EPs.
yeah, like I like Eric Church, for instance.
Mm.
So his last 3 were basically EPs. They're like maybe at most 8 songs
Yeah.
at most kind of
Okay.
thing. So
Oh, and that's
so,
considered an EP.
Yeah.
yeah. So exactly. So Fish on Heart was like I think 6 songs, and then And was like 3 songs.
Mm.
Soul was like 8. But
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I think I do think the music industry is changing.
Yeah.
Probably for the better, honestly. But I think a lot of people are just trying to do some different things, which is kind of good.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the same formula all the time. I feel like now more than ever, this is a good time for us to be doing what we're doing because independent artists have platforms,
Right.
whereas they never really had them
Yeah.
before.
Again, on the app I was on, Clubhouse, they were talking about how the thing that the big artists have that indie artists don't are just numbers. But now indie artists are starting to get the numbers, and once you get the numbers, then you catch up to the huge pop artists. So.
Definitely. Well, there's all sorts of, just like Facebook, there's all sorts of algorithms with all
Yeah.
of that too. Like I've seen people that we know that were like, oh, like my whatever released at number 1 on iTunes. And I'm like, how is that possible?
Right.
But like it's all pre-saves and whatever else, and like that factors into the algorithm. And I'm like, oh, that's not really real then. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
So a lot of it is all baloney too.
Yeah,
Like,
and a lot of people are trying to
sound.
decide, how how many streams equal like an album sell or something like that. So, all right, I'll say. I think I'm going to talk about how Old Dominion writes stuff for a lot of people before I get into Hole in the Bottle. Kelsey Ballerini.
Yes.
Ballerini. This is going to be amazing. I'm going to totally screw this up.
It's all good. You're drinking songs. You're like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm drinking. It's all good.
What was that?
It's all drinking songs. Like, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
That was a bullet. Yeah.
I'm drinking. Yeah. All right. All right, and that last song was by Old Dominion. It turns out that they actually write a lot of songs for other artists that have done very well in addition to writing their own stuff. So they've got a lot of great things out there, and you've probably heard them and you didn't even know you've heard one of their songs. So this next one is Kelsey Ballerini, and this was sent in by actually a couple of people that follow me on Instagram. One of them was S. Jane Drager. She sent in a lot of songs before, but she sent this one in. This is called Hole in the Bottle.
This is one of those ones that stripped down is a true country song.
Yes.
Like you take away like all of like the production and it's like, oh, you can hear like that's like a true traditional country song.
It's my favorite hard fucking song.
Oh, really?
It's like very old 60s kind of jazzy country kind of stuff.
Which is my favorite.
Right.
I love like the bluesy.
Yeah.
So is that where you guys overlap?
I would say so.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, because like you like so again, like going back to the pop thing, one of my favorites of all time is John Mayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love John Mayer. Luckily he does too.
So I saw John Mayer a while back, but I was kind of like this like with guitar, but I saw him live, and I was like, yeah,
That was it.
something with it.
Well, I mean, like saying like what you said, like I mean, dude, like it's like ladies left and right.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's like horrible faces
Yeah,
that he
I
makes.
was
And talk about Jessica Simpson and one that doesn't even matter.
well, I saw him. I was in fifth grade, and just to say, a lot of women acting certain ways.
Very crazy.
Yeah.
Yes, so I was like, yes, I'm gonna do this.
And he went to Berkeley but didn't graduate, right?
Correct.
He did not. He was there. I think he was maybe just not even a freshman year, and he was at Berkeley. So I went to BU.
Okay.
So he was at Berkeley, I think, around the same time that I was at BU.
Okay.
I
I was wondering if he is our age.
I think he is.
He's
I think.
41, I think.
I was gonna say, I think he's like 42, maybe. I think he's just a couple of years older than
Yeah,
me.
he's a little bit older than me.
But I remember seeing him when he finally like got big enough, and it happened fast for him. I feel like once it happened.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well,
Like, it was just, like, out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
So, yeah.
But I saw him at whatever it's called now, the big new pavilion.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I think it's the Bank of America. Bank of
Bank of
America.
America,
Yeah.
whatever it's called. And that was really cool. But I just love that bluesy
Yeah.
sound that he has. And I think I get some of that from like, I mean, my parents listened to everything. But also like I was in the jazz choir for 4 years,
okay.
and that was also like a lot of, oh, I love this song.
This.
Oh,
I'll talk about this really
such a
quick.
good song. Did I send you Brandy?
What?
Did I send you Brandy? The 70s
You did not.
song
No.
Brandy?
No. I'll unmute if you want to say something about this, and so I'll turn your mics on if you want to say something. All right.
Like now.
All right, so these next three songs were sent in by at Rachel's31 on Instagram. First, we have a classic Rupert Holmes, Escape. This is one of your favorites.
This is the best song ever. I know, it's like probably like so cheesy and whatever else. And like if you really listen to the words about the fact that like he was basically cheating on
Right.
his girlfriend and then like or whatever she was and then like put in an ad and then like she showed up and they both lauged. I'm like, oh, this was therapy probably at the end of that, but I love the song anyway.
But you can't write about the therapy, I guess, right?
It was the 70s. They didn't do that back then.
And then after this, we have Brothers Osborne with Rum, which is a
Love
Yes.
Brothers
Classic.
Osborne.
yeah, they're great. And then we're gonna go Irish with some beer. So that's
That
what's
sounds
coming up.
Irish to me.
It's gonna be great. So that's the three coming up. All right, enjoy.
Didn't we try and do this one time?
Yeah.
I think we were like, it was when we were the Elks. We were a little bit.
Yeah, that was.
We were both a little influenced when we tried that one.
Does it help to drink while you're playing, or do you
You
sometimes
would
stay away
think
from
So
it?
at a certain point,
So-
yes.
Right.
So it takes. I mean, at least for me, it takes off the edge a little bit.
Right.
But so the first time playing, I would drink just straight whiskey, and by a third of it, I'm gone. So
And
so
then it's mistakes
Yeah.
left and right
Right,
from both
yeah.
of us.
and then
Oh,
and
I'm
then
a
she was
hot
mad at me.
mess.
She's like "What are you doing?"
Well, it's happened to me a couple times too, and there was one time recently we played at the Elks. Like, so it was fine. It was just like the Elks, and it was people he knew and whatever else. But people kept buying us shots,
Oh, really?
and I was like, all right, like you know, and like I'm not, I'm a bit of a lightweight, and so, but I was like, all right, a shot, whatever, and it's over a span of 3 hours, so you think like you're good. By the last set, I looked at him and he was like, oh, jeez. And then, though, this one pulls out Jolene from Dolly Parton,
Yeah.
which is not an easy song.
No.
When I tell you,
She failed the test.
I shit all over myself. I was just all over the place. And, like, I was so upset because I was like, you know, as a singer, like, you want to always
Right.
be your best foot forward. And I was so mad at myself. So I was like, how did you get here? Like, I was so mad. But luckily, it wasn't, like, a big deal, but still.
Yeah, I don't think I could. Like, I get nervous playing drums still in front of people.
Yeah.
But I don't think drinking would help because I really want to be in control and know exactly
That's
what
what
I'm
it really
doing.
boils
too.
down to
Yeah.
is that like you like maybe like one to take the edge off.
Right, maybe
That's
something
it.
something
Yeah.
light.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing too. So usually I'll try to have so if I have beer, it's like Miller, so it's water.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
have
You can drink
wine.
20 of them.
Yeah. And then next to me also, so I'm actually got the background, and so I catch stuff, you know, on this. So I need to voice open and hold in.
Ah,
At least that's my speech for it.
Yeah, that's such a bullshit. Okay, I just let him have it though, because I'm like, whatever. He's a whole foot taller than me. You can handle more than me.
yeah, a lot more than
Like the other night, we were at Eastern Country Club and I had a wine, but like I nursed it for 3 hours.
I had four burgers.
Although I could see it on you by the end, I could see it. Well, you do. You have to be careful because like people will give you drinks, so they'll buy you drinks.
Yeah, oh,
whatever
yeah.
else, and
Oh, okay.
most of the time, like beforehand, before I gig, I don't eat because like you know you need to expand your diaphragm.
Right, yeah.
So you need space.
So you not eating and drinking is not a good thing, as
No,
I'm discovering.
It's definitely not a good combination.
Well,
I've
I
learned the
will
hard
check
way.
that. So basically, so to do the show, I'll have burger before the show and fries.
So
Oh, so yeah, that bread, yeah.
Yeah.
Burger and fries sound good. But that rice will soak up anything you drink.
Oh, yeah.
Brothers Osborne is a really great band. And
We're
Rum
going to
is-
see them actually.
Yeah.
Really?
My birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are they
Yeah,
playing?
Providence.
So
Oh.
they're doing one in Providence at it's called like Echo Ball Point.
It's
Something like
it's I'm not sure what it's
In
called,
East
but
Providence.
yeah, it's East Providence.
that. So it's like a Bank of America pavilion type place. And then I think they're also doing
we
a
cover this.
Boston show.
I mean, not now. Let's see. We'll
Right.
cover this.
Yeah. But yeah, so they're still playing the smaller venues, which is good.
Mhm.
Like you're not gonna go see them necessarily at like an Xfinity, which is
Right.
nice.
And,
I
yeah,
love them.
yeah,
They're so
yeah.
good. It's gonna be fun.
Do you know the Dawes?
No.
DAWES. They're kind of a folky country bluegrassy band, but they're coming in September to Boston. You should check them out. They're
Oh, yeah.
really good stuff. Yeah.
Do you
Some
have
of the
anything planned to go see?
that one I'm going to go see, and that's it coming up. I saw there's a heavy metal band, not heavy metal, heavy rock band, Shinedown.
Yeah.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, twice, yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen Shinedown. I just saw Brent and Zach. They have a
How was
spin-off.
that?
It was okay, but I wish it would have been at a different venue. I went to see him in New Hampshire, and it was right as COVID had stopped. It was like mid-May.
Right.
So they were still kind of holding to the
Okay,
separation,
so-
but it was outside, and that kind of music doesn't really do good at an
it-
outside
it's
venue.
going to be inside kind of points. Yeah.
And we had to be super spread out. They had these square areas blocked off, so you had to go find it. It was almost like a seat. So what would have been a really small crowd, really close, was now spread out over this line. It didn't work, but I really loved. They're funny.
Yeah.
They're hilarious.
Yeah. He's like I think his voice is amazing. Like it's like so powerful. It's like like you see him sing like if you held it a little like this. Like he's not loud.
It's really good. It's very good.
But,
Yeah, I love their music.
oh yeah.
Does Rachel like the same kind of music you like?
Mostly, yeah.
Yeah.
like we have a couple playlists that we share on Spotify. We have like a hard rap playlist.
Really?
It's like hardcore rap, like stuff that could never play on radio. And she's shown me some, and I've shown her some others. But I'm like, oh wow, I can't believe that they were singing about this one. But then we have some, classic '90s, and a couple of Incubus songs that we like, and
Yeah.
The Stank. Like we kind of overlap there.
Okay, yeah, we got
She has a lot of country though.
I was gonna say, does she like country?
Yeah.
And she's from around here originally?
Yes, she's from Newton.
Okay.
She was born and raised in Newton,
Oh, okay.
and then got a teaching job in Norwood,
Gotcha.
and hasn't really left.
How the hell did you end up here from Oklahoma?
So my first wife and I moved here for grad school.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So you went to grad school for theology?
Yeah, at Gordon Conwell Seminary. It's in Beverly, or it's actually in Hamilton.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be part of Gordon a long time ago. It's not part of
Yes.
Gordon College anymore,
Okay.
but it's close to it. So I got my master's there after getting philosophy undergrad.
Okay.
So, and then my ex-wife is a lawyer. She went to Harvard Law.
Okay.
So we went to law school at the same time.
Okay.
And, we were married for a long time after that, but
Okay.
we just stayed here because our girls are from here.
Gotcha.
Neither one of us really like Oklahoma very much.
I feel like you would love Oklahoma.
Yeah, I was in Texas actually because my dad's not my military, and he was down at Fort Worth.
Okay.
And I was seeing him over Thanksgiving 2 years ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, I picked him up in Texas. It was just like it was hot. It was like the Markello place, chill.
It is so hot there. Part of the reason that I like being here is because I don't like the heat. All right, John will be here in 6 minutes. He'll join us on the live stream. People watch.
This is truly an Irish drinking song.
Yeah.
No, this is actually Flogging Molly or no?
No, this is
No,
the Clancy brothers. But then Flogging Molly's after
if
this
you
one.
can't find a drinking song in the Irish culture, then you know we're gonna find one anyway.
Right, yeah. John's a cool guy. I haven't seen John in 5 years, probably, at least, maybe even more. We were good friends. He knows a lot about music, and I had a DJ thing, like an event DJ thing with another guy named John.
Yeah.
So the three of us would hang out sometimes, but he knows a lot about music. So I saw his wife at Trader Joe's the other day, just randomly. She's like, "Oh, hey."
Hey,
Hi. So he's gonna come by. Hopefully, he comes out with us. We'll see.
So are you still teaching now or no?
No,
What do you do for work full time? This?
I'm looking. No, this
Oh.
doesn't pay.
Well, yeah, probably not. So you still want to teach, or?
I just took my Intel communications and literacy test to try and get my provisional license because I didn't have my teaching license. I was teaching at a private school. I didn't need it.
I see.
So I got it just in case. I don't really want to go back in the classroom,
Yeah,
but really to do anything at a public school, I'm going to need my license.
I know.
Yeah, honestly, like 96.
No.
I mean, like I'm gonna also make it off, but still, I think with like our current situation, kids now can't be 50 more. I'm kidding.
Kids, okay.
But
It's just, I think, yeah, I mean, you hear me complain all the time.
well, and
It's just so much
It's a
fucking
lot.
work.
Yeah.
and I know how I was as a student.
Mhm.
So I was an athlete. I was. So with anything else.
Yeah, I loved it, but I just don't think. I don't know. I loved my school. I loved the topic, and I'm not going to be able to do that at another school again. so-
Not in public school, probably, right?
What?
Not in public school?
No, no theology there. All right.
I feel like they
All right, this is Flogging Molly with Drunken Lullabies. This was sent in by our good friend of the show, Alex Sullivan. Find him on Instagram at Alex Sul. He also wrote the theme song for the show, and he's been playing music for a long time. Go back to those archives on the podcast website and listen to his interview here. It's great to have him in studio and have him play live. So again, this is Flogging Mollies with Drunken Lullabies.
Yeah, this is like one where you just have.
All right.
You got CDs, and the business go on.
Oh my god.
I'm going to go try and let him go.
I'm gonna get you back real quick.
for Avery.
Sure.
Yeah, he said she's fine.
We're still connecting with live stream, so.
Oh, great.
It's not there yet. I'll tell him. Unlock the door for him.
Oh. We're getting work today.
Yeah, you had a rough day.
Oh, really?
No, he didn't.
Oh, you were off, right?
Yeah, what's up?
Yeah.
You want to, like, you running around with kids, oil changes, all that fun Saturday stuff that you try to get in. And he's like, let's just leave it.
Oh, sweet. How much time do I have? Oh, I have a little bit of time. All right, he's here. And if the next song plays, I can just introduce it.
Okay.
Earlier.
Oh, God. You said it yesterday, now it's going to rain. Can't let it do that.
We got pizza.
You plant the seed and then it grows.
All right. Guys, this is John.
Hi, nice to meet you. Hi, I'm Jenny.
Jenny, nice to meet you.
John, you can just pull up that chair if you want, sit wherever you want. I'm introducing music as it comes on. So welcome to the studio.
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, yeah, if you want a drink, we have
We
have a lot.
Wine.
Oh yeah, you have wine.
Wine and whiskey. So I brought both.
Oh, you did.
Wine and whiskey.
Yes, that's good.
I'm all set, thank you. Yeah.
So the playlist theme is drinking songs, favorite drinking songs.
Got it.
So in honor of drinking songs.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
right on.
Doesn't feel right to know I have something.
So the music you're hearing now are some of the songs that people sent in to me on Instagram,
Okay.
and I put it on a playlist and then I play it for the last hour of the show.
Cool.
So I don't know how much we're going to get through, but the next one, I can skip a couple of these because these three were added by me. I'll talk about this one. All right. This next song is Favorite Poison, and this is by Fuller. He's out in California, putting out lots of music. He just put out a new song on Spotify just yesterday. So make sure you find Fuller Music on Spotify. You can find him on Instagram as well. Again, this is Favorite Poison. This is a jam. And now we're going to start getting into a little bit more party songs. We've gone from the chill drinking songs to a little bit more upbeat. So enjoy this song. You're pretty close to the station, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm actually, you know where this station used to be, over on Rumford.
Yeah.
So I'm really close to that.
Okay.
Because we're right off of basically like Moody Street, you know? Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't take me long to get here, but I've been like catching up with people. It's just
Really?
weird. People would contact me and they're like, "Hey, do you want to hang out? I haven't seen you COVID, right?"
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So I got a couple guys that I used to work with. One lives up in New Hampshire and he's in a barbershop quartet. He's a virtuoso guitar player too. He's
Really?
got a nice collection. A studio that he built at his house. So I went and met him in Burlington this morning at 10:30. We spent 4 hours just catching up. I just bought a Strat last
Oh, you did?
weekend for work.
I just want to tell you actually on May. It's ordered it, yeah.
Cool.
It is.
Yeah, that's awesome. So
Oh, yeah. Jenny said you brought you. She was telling me, she's like, yeah, you just brought a guitar.
yeah, she had gone to a baby shower and I'm like, I told my kids, I'm like, you guys want to go for a ride? And they're like, where are we going? And I'm like, we're gonna go to Nashua. Okay, why? And I said, well, I'm gonna buy a guitar. So they
That's
were
awesome.
cool with that. And we rode up there and grabbed it. So, it's actually a made in Mexico one. There was Guitar Center was clearing out some of the limited edition ones. It's a surf green. I really like the color.
So I was ready to pull the trigger. So I saved $100 on it. It was pretty significant. And you have to pay sales tax, which is like
That is true.
in New Hampshire, no sales tax is always a good thing. So anytime you're gonna make a big purchase, you ride up there. Right?
That's not a bad idea.
You have quite a guitar collection too, right?
What?
We were just talking about his guitar collection, where you mentioned that he has a big one.
But yeah, I just bought the American Elf. I bought the American Elf Telecaster. It's like basically it's all new. Pick up all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. It's cheap, but it's but it's not because all the shortage. So now all costs are going up. Is lumber kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, so I just gotta check out. My buddy's got a Ultra Strat.
All right, this is a
Up there.
classic that was sent in by Dude Nuggets,
It's a nice guitar.
DOOD Nuggets on Instagram.
His setup is a, like,
It's actually
he didn't-
Marco,
he got it,
which
like,
is the
this
boyfriend
setup,
of a
like,
guest that we've had. I'll let
strings.
you'll have to figure out which guest that is.
He's like,
But he's
"Oh,
local.
your
He
guitar
sent this in
is like
classic
the same
party
chord."
drinking song,
Yeah.
Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
So he's like, oh, I want that now, man.
yeah, that's. I have 8 now, but I just keep buying. Like you know what? I want that. I don't. I'll finance it for it. I don't care. So just keep buying.
All Fenders, or do you like other stuff?
So I'm Mark right there, and then I have the 12-string Taylor.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you play it live with that at all?
I used to, not anymore.
Yeah, we haven't used the 12 string.
Yeah, I don't really use it that much, but
It's a cool sound. I do like
yeah.
12 strings.
but it's just the accessory string.
I know.
So tight and everything, but yeah. Then I have headphones. I want like get soon something, but I just can't do something.
I know.
We don't know what right now, but yeah. Then I bought I bought Helix, my 6 Helix. It's like an amplifier kind of thing.
Okay.
And like that, like live music kind of stuff too. Good on that. But yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's my question. Yep.
Oh yeah, Mike's phone collection. Yeah. All those mics I like to collect. That's the one thing about being a singer. It's cheap. You have to buy anything.
Yeah.
It's just, but you know, if it craps out on you, you're a little stuck. Or replace.
I don't know. This mic was not cheap, and I didn't even get the high.
I meant the singer. It was easy to fix or replace.
Oh.
Swap her out for somebody else.
All right.
So, do you do this live every Saturday night?
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I have to at least do it for the summer. So I was telling them this is brokered programming, so I have to pay. I basically rent this airspace.
Okay.
So I'm trying to get sponsors to jump in and help pay
Yeah.
for it, so I don't have to pay for the time.
Right.
But I had to sign up for 3 months,
Oh,
so I have to do it through August.
gotcha.
I want to keep it going, and I plan to keep it going, but I got to get some sponsors to help me because I can't keep paying it out of pocket. Yeah, it's not great. So I can pretty easily make it through August, but after that, I'm gonna have to like really think.
Do you have a piece of paper over there? I'm gonna write down some
Yeah.
names for you.
Okay, good. There you go. Write down anything you want.
All right. People that hit us. Oh, sorry.
Sushi. I've had forever.
Wait that a second. I forgot about this
This
outro.
one.
It's like a 38-minute outro. I should just skip past it. Do you remember this? I don't know why it switches to this all
What
of a
is
sudden.
this one?
But this is how
Oh,
the
this
song.
is the end of
What?
something?
Yeah, this is still Tub Thumping. I don't know why it switches to this. Yeah, they're an odd group. Like they're.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're still around, but they were very like at the time they made a lot of people mad because they were very like kind of like. I don't know, some people call them communists. I don't know. They were pretty odd group when they came out. All right, here we go. All right, some of us have started dancing in the studio.
We shall not be named.
That's not me, thankfully. A classic party drinking song sent in by KJH1431. Thank you, Kristen, for sending this in. This is How We Do It by Montel Williams. This is my era of growing up. So here we go. Are you on Instagram, Joe?
No, I don't really have any media, any social media.
Lucky you.
Yeah.
You avoided a lot of the problems that COVID caused, I think.
Oh man. Yeah, it was. I don't know. I guess I was already feeling like I was in hibernation a little bit, you know, not having all
Yeah.
that, and like then COVID hit, and it was sort of like, okay, so what do we spent a lot of time just exploring Mass. I mean,
Really?
you know, you couldn't really travel a lot outside of Mass, so. I mean, we went down to the vineyard. We'd never really been down there before.
I've never been to the vineyard.
It was super fun.
I haven't either.
Really?
We took.
I know, I grew up here, but I've been to Nantucket only last summer because my friend goes there and she invited me and my daughter to go. But other than that, like, I've never been to the vineyard, and that was like my first trip to Nantucket.
Did the kids go? And they like
Yeah, so what we did was we went down on I think it was like a Friday morning or something. It was the week we would have been in Sanibel.
Right. Okay.
And so we went down on like Thursday or Friday morning. We caught the ferry over. We took our bikes and we rode like 16 miles around the island on the bikes and just stopped at beaches. We stopped at the alpaca farm that's on the vineyard.
I didn't even know there was an
Alpacas.
alpaca farm there. Really?
It's like it was a really great day. It was kind of a long day, but we got home at 10 or 11.
Oh, so you didn't end up staying overnight?
We didn't stay overnight. We just came back. You know, my 5-year-old was falling asleep at the table.
I bet.
You know, he wanted mom. And he had gone blueberry picking with his mom earlier in the week, and they made blueberry pie because it was her birthday. They're gonna have blueberry pie for dessert and do the candles and all. And he's like, as long as he can get his blueberry pie, that's all he cared about. And then he wanted to go to bed.
They're having a feast down in it, but
Yeah, I mean, when you're 5 riding a 6-gear bike around the vineyard for 16 miles,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's a lot, you know?
It's a lot.
It's
I'm
a
surprised
long
they
day
did
for
it.
him.
Yeah.
I feel like my
It's
kids
good.
are older than that. They've been like, this.
I was gonna ask. Yeah. Did you didn't take them on a bike or something? They had to ride their own bikes.
No, they rode their own bikes.
Whoa, that is intense.
I can't do that.
How were you feeling afterwards? My boat.
Say, I was
I
sore.
mean, I was like, I mean, we broke it up into chunks, but
Right, yeah, I guess
it
that's
was
true.
it was still a lot of riding. I mean, you kind of have to work your way up to it. We'd already been riding a lot that year,
Okay.
so 15 wasn't that bad.
And what?
This year now, it would probably be tough. We haven't ridden all that much this year. Just been doing other stuff. I mean, everybody's coming out of the woodwork.
Oh, jeez.
Right? Everybody's like, oh, we've got sports, we've got,
Mhm.
you know, this, that, and the other thing. And so now we're doing all of that stuff again. It's getting full. Yeah. So people are, in some ways, you know, people were more willing to hang out last year because it was kind of like, oh, we're not really supposed to, but we're outside.
Yeah.
So
Right.
people were like, hey, what are you doing? It's good to do stuff, right? It
Yeah,
was super
yeah.
fun. It's a big cruise ship.
All right. So this I'm gonna put separately. All right.
Oh, that's gonna sound
Yeah.
tricky stuff. That's-
Yeah. It goes very quickly into party songs. All right. Got these two by Ange, ACEGS. Next two songs, 7 minutes. All right, again, now we're really into the party songs. These next two songs were sent in on Instagram by ACEGS23. That's Ange. Thanks, Ange, so much for your suggestions. We got The Killers with Mr. Brightside, classic party song, and even drinking at a party. And then we've got Usher and everybody else singing with him with Yeah. All right, I'm going to take this mic. How was the sound in your headphones? The mix,
Yeah,
was it
fine.
okay
Yeah.
when
that's
he
fine.
was singing it or playing guitar and everything?
No, all good.
Okay. I was worried it was going to be too much guitar or something like that. Yeah, that should be good to go. Dude, this is the mixer that John and I bought for Hold Music.
Really?
Yeah. He sent it to me, not even related to this, but he sent it to me years ago. He's like, hey, you might need this more than me.
Huh.
So yeah, just a little few channels.
Wow.
Thanks.
Super handy to have.
Yeah, it was
Sure.
really nice to have. But now when guests play in studio, I just
You've got it ready to go.
yeah. And it's a way better sound. The first guest that played in studio, I just did mics on his guitar and it worked okay. But I think this is going to be a better sound on
Yeah,
recording and
more
everything.
control over everything.
Yeah.
Wow. I haven't done any yeah, I mean that was kind of one of the conditions about leaving Florida was more. I did make an exception a couple times for you guys,
What
but
is it?
More.
I haven't done any more DJ gigs. I've been running live sound
Yeah.
at Beacon quite a bit.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yeah.
And Ginny just told me she's doing the children's ministry there.
Yeah, I kind of had, when COVID hit, I had kind of gotten out of it. Tyson was pretty much taken over.
Okay.
But they moved out to Western or Central Mass or whatever.
Yeah, they're pretty far out now, right?
Yeah.
Do they even come to Beacon anymore?
No. They I think they found a church, but I mean, it took them a while.
Right, yeah. But we're at in Central Mass today.
Whisper?
Okay. Is that really far out? Like Springfield, like I know Worcester and then
It's not
Springfield.
that far. It's not as far as
Like
Whisper.
in the middle of Boston. Yeah.
Okay.
Close, yeah.
About right.
Yeah. So there's like 5 or 6 or 4 contacts.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh wow. Yes.
Most,
I'm gonna
I think
name drop.
all of them are breweries.
Okay.
So, because I was trying to think of like products, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's other things, but like I feel like if you could, and a lot of those ones like are smaller, so they could benefit. Trillium maybe not, but the other ones could benefit.
And you know the people there?
So we know the first, we know the first 3 really well.
Okay.
And then the last 2 knockabout, I'm going back and forth with him right now. They're down the Cape.
Okay.
Going back and forth to book them. And then Trillium, I haven't talked to Carolina, in years.
All right.
But if
But
she's
start at the
still
top,
there.
right? Because
Start there.
Shoveltown, you know him.
Shoveltown, you say Jake and Jenny, they're like, oh yes.
Okay.
So,
All right.
and 10th District, the 3rd one down.
The 10th, okay.
Yeah, I did those 2 first.
All right. Sweet. Because I really think I'll get better luck with somebody that's interested in music,
Sure.
right? If they're gonna have live guests play,
Yeah.
anybody who comes in here could play
Absolutely.
there too. So.
Well, Shoveltown too, so over COVID, we played in their space so the Easton Lions Club,
Uh-huh.
they did a live show and they used Shoveltown offered their space. And we did a show and there was a couple other local bands that did a show and whatever. So they were super supportive during that COVID time.
Okay.
And especially where they're opening up their new pop-up in Foxborough.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I would mention that in your email
Okay.
and just be like, actually, let me find the exact email for Jim. I think it's James Sherry at Shoveltown. But I would be like, hey, and then I can mention your Foxborough new location, throw in a little bit about it. That's honestly one of the things that I have found through all this stuff. If I throw in anything that shows that I've done a little research or whatever about what they're currently doing, it automatically gets their attention.
Yeah, I'd love to get some sponsors. That'd be nice. All right. What do I gotta do? Just gotta
We do it like that.
Oh yeah. And I'll get the stand in a second. Because I gotta clean. Like I still gotta take my mic off here. Dude, I love this mic. See this mic?
Nice.
Yeah. I didn't get the. This is the step down from the really nice one that they have. This is the. What is it? I forget the model number, but it's just a step down from the standard case for it. No, that's yeah, but I keep it in there. The case for that mic is. This is a little heavy for. But it is the clean version, right? I mean, this was on the radio,
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it was.
Reverse.
right? Yeah, at some
You're
point,
fine.
right?
Yeah.
This might make some of the audience flush that listens to might listen to this statement. All right, is there anybody on the live stream?